This is the story of Shadows of Evil. A long time ago, a great war broke out between humans, keepers, and the Apothicons. The humans and keepers won and banished the Apothicons to a dark dimension called the Dark Ether. The Shadow Man, the leader of the Apothicons, was able to slip away and stay hidden as he sought out an ancient artifact called the Summoning Key. The Summoning Key would allow the Apothicons to make a proper comeback. The Shadow Man stayed hidden until about the 1900s. In the 1940s, he went zipping around multiple dimensions disguised as a man named Mr. Wrapped, and hiring this one reporter in every dimension to look for the Summoning Key. The reporter from Dimension 63 found the Summoning Key on December 14th, 1943, and was on his way to transport it to the Shadow Man. Along the way, the Shadow Man requested that the reporter make a pit stop in Morgue City and collect some info about the city and 4 specific people. These people were Nero Blackstone, Jessica Rose, Floyd Campbell, and Jack Vincent, aka Jackie V. The reporter sent the information to the Shadow Man in a telegram. The Shadow Man then used this information to ruin these guys' lives. Starting with the Shadow Man's first victim, Nero Blackstone. Nero was a failed magician. In fact, a magazine called Magician's Weekly went as far as naming him Worst Magician of the Year. Nero also had a wife who always complained, and no matter what he did, it was never enough for her. On April 20th, 1944, the Shadow Man, pretending to be a company executive, paid a visit to Nero's lawyer. He told his lawyer that Nero's wife had taken out some pretty big loans, and Nero had maximum of 15 days to pay off the debt before the company would come after him. After Nero heard about this, he was in a lot of distress. There was no way he could settle these debts. After all, he was broke, so he had no choice but to do what he did next. First, he called and made sure his wife's life insurance policy was paid up. Then, he killed her and made it look like a magic trick gone wrong. He collected her life insurance and paid off the debt. From there, the Shadow Man moved on to Jessica Rose. Jessica was a burlesque dancer who had dreams of becoming a big Hollywood star. She was willing to do anything to make that dream come true. One day, a photographer somehow got compromising photos of her. On April 20th, Jessica's film producer was visited by a famous film director. Hey, it's the Shadow Man. He told her producer that he wanted to give Jessica the lead role in his next film. When Jessica learned of this, she knew it was her chance for stardom and wouldn't let anything get in the way of that. Unfortunately, that photographer still had the photos of her, and she didn't want him to ruin this chance for her. So she called him over to her place to sort things out. It was a trap. She killed him and got rid of the photos. The next day, she went back to her job like nothing happened. The Shadow Man's third victim was Floyd Campbell. Floyd was an up-and-coming boxer who hadn't been in the ring for about 18 months. His promoter got him a fight with a title holder named Tony King. If he won this fight, he'd get a chance to fight for the title. Once again, the Shadow Man had to mess with things. Disguised as a journalist, he told Floyd's promoter that Floyd was nothing but a journeyman fighter. It means that he's a good boxer, but not good enough to be a real contender. This made Floyd's promoter nervous that Floyd may lose the fight, and of course that means the promoter doesn't make any money. Floyd heard about this and wanted to prove his promoter wrong. So to guarantee the win, on April 21st, Floyd put brass knuckles in his boxing gloves. Floyd gave Tony the old 1-2, and he was down for the count. The fight was a success, and Floyd collected his winnings. Tony King was left dead. Now the Shadow Man's last victim was Jackie V. Jack Vincent was a crooked cop who had run-ins with some of the most dangerous criminals and mobsters. He even dealt with Sal DeLuca's mob. The Morgue City mayor recently ordered an investigation of the city's police department. The Shadow Man met with Jack's partner, posing as an internal affairs officer. He tried to get Jack's partner to admit that Jack is a dirty cop. Jack's partner is a loyal guy and didn't say a thing, but Jack found out about this and feared that one of his old associates would snitch on him. So, on the night of April 21st, Jackie V killed the snitch. Now, while this was all going down, Richtofen showed up. If Richtofen is in Morgue City, that means something terrible is about to go down. The reporter that the Shadow Man hired still had the summoning key, and Richtofen came looking for it. Once Richtofen found out who had it, he confronted the guy. A little earlier, the reporter was warned by Dr. Monty not to give the summoning key to anyone, and he warned Richtofen to stay back. Things escalated quickly, and Richtofen killed the guy. That was pointless because the summoning key was sealed in a magic box, and Richtofen knows zilch about magic. So, he disappeared for a while. Now back to our four main characters. On April 25th, Floyd, Nero, and Jackie V each went to the Black Lace Burlesque for a drink and some entertainment. And it just so happened that Jessica Rose was dancing tonight. All four of them spontaneously knocked out, only to wake up in a twisted version of Morgue City. They each woke up in different parts of the city with a mysterious symbol tattooed on their left hands. The dead began to approach them and they ran for their lives, bumping into each other in an alleyway. The four agreed to team up to survive, and that was when a mysterious man who called himself the Shadow Man items. The first and most important one was the summoning key. Once they got that, the crew started with Nero's ritual item, his lawyer's pen. So they got it, and out of thin air, two keepers appeared, trying to stop them from performing the ritual. The Shadow Man explained to the group that the keepers were their true enemies, so they believed him and killed the keepers. After that, they went up to Nero's lair to perform the ritual. As soon as the lawyer's pen was placed on the altar, the summoning key summoned Nero's lawyer. More keepers showed up to try and stop it, and during the ritual, Nero's lawyer screamed for help, but nobody showed any remorse, because that was what the Shadow Man told them was the right thing to do. After the ritual was over, they grabbed the championship belt and performed Floyd's ritual, then got the police badge and performed Jack's ritual, sacrificing his partner, and last but not least was Jessica's ritual, where they got her producer's toupee and sacrificed her producer. Sure enough, throughout all those rituals, the keepers tried to stop them. After each ritual, a gate worm appeared, and the group collected them to take them below the city to perform the last and final ritual. This was it. This was their chance to return everything to normal. They set each of the gateworms up and started the last ritual. When the ritual was over, they thought they were free to leave, and that was when the Shadow Man revealed to them the truth.
Your service to the overlords is appreciated. Our complete assimilation of this dimension will now proceed.
He just told them that their dimension was now about to be swallowed up by the Apothicons. At this point in time, they thought they were doomed. Their world was about to be destroyed, and they could do nothing about it. The Keepers were trying this whole time to stop them from inviting the Apothicons into their world. But not all is lost. The Keepers offered to help them reverse what they did and banish the Apothicons from Dimension 63. Right now, they had no idea who to trust, but they went along with the Keepers' plan anyway. The Keepers had the group build Apothicon swords, then bring them to the Keepers to upgrade and fashion into Keeper swords. The swords would help protect them later on. Once they did that, Nero remembered a book he had read that had something to do with the Apothicons, and so they all went to his lair to read the book. The book reassured the group that the Keepers were the good guys. They protected the multiverse from the Apothicons. And now, the Shadows of Evil crew were confident that this was the right thing to do. Next, the Keepers gave them a magical flag, and had them go to various parts of the city to charge it up. The Shadow Man knew that they were ruining his plans and got desperate. He threw everything he had at them, but the crew wouldn't give up and defended the flag with their lives. They used their swords and every bullet they had until the flag was ready. The last and final step was to bring the flag to the Keepers and complete one last ritual. They initiated the ritual, and again, they fought the Shadow Man with all their might until the ritual was over. At last, Nero, Jessica, Floyd, and Jackie V succeeded, and they trapped the Shadow Man's soul in the Summoning Key. The Keepers now trusted these 4 heroes to protect the Summoning Key, and were about to hand it to them to banish the Apothicons and restore Dimension 63 back to normal. That was when a portal opened up, and Primus Richtofen came out of it, snatching the Summoning Key right out of the Keeper's hands. He said thank you and left. Once again, the Shadows of Evil crew were doomed. The next day, on April 26th, Dimension 63 was destroyed and devoured by the Apothicons until it was no more.